behave.
Oh, behave.
Oh,
baby. I think we're never going to get good at this. Oh, baby.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
it.
baby, behave.
There was a part where he's talking like a Southerner, right?
Yeah, inexplicably,
Trucker hat on.
there's a part where Dr. Evil goes full trucker hat.
Yeah.
When you hear the phrase Dr. Evil goes full trucker hat, you know you're listening to When Will It End? It's a film podcast, a movie podcast, a film podcast. What do you think?
A movie podcast.
A movie podcast. We're two salt of the earth, common man Joe types. One
We're not watching. We're watching movies on Vudu first of all,
and Google Play.
Yeah, those are. That's the everyman platform.
And Netflix.
We're not watching things on Criterion Collection's upcoming streaming service that replaces Filmstruck. We're not using Mubi, which sounds a lot like Voodoo. What is wrong with people?
I don't know. I imagine there's just like a factory full of like idiots with expensive college degrees who think of horrible names for stupid corporations.
Yeah.
And Voodoo and Mubi are like two of my least favorite.
Everything is very just like reverse straw.
I think it's this like corporate culture of like everything's cute because we're all babies.
Right.
Like the world is burning, like the streets are flowing with blood. The wealth disparity just expands and they're like, come watch a movie on Voodoo. On Voodoo. I'm kind of doing a Dr. Evil.
Oh.
Dr. Evil.
Yeah, well, that makes sense. Dr. Evil has changed.
In so many ways. But we've seen him change. And you know why, Charles? Because this podcast is where two men, I think it's fair to say.
Yeah, I don't think it's important.
But it's a part of the show.
I
think we bring a male gaze
very important.
to, you know.
I was kidding. It's important. Right. I mean, we joke a lot. We make sometimes politically incorrect statements, but it's because we're highlighting that. And when I said it isn't important that we're men, it actually is important that we're men.
So, you know, please don't add us.
No, you can add us.
Oh, add us. Okay, do add us. Yeah.
I don't know what that means.
It's a thing.
What I know it's a thing because you just said it, but I don't know what it means.
Like on Twitter, like come after people on Twitter, like going at you, like direct messaging.
Can you only
people.
add negatively? I feel like you could add
I feel like the vibe of if you're adding someone, it's usually because they're getting canceled.
Oh, I was gonna say, like, if I make you horny, baby, at me.
That's true.
That sounds nice.
That we are both. I don't want to speak for we are, I believe, both in monogamous relationships, like Austin Powers 1.
And yeah, he never really. I feel like he wanted it in 2, but he lost his mojo.
Right, but so then he had it the whole time. But what I'm saying is, Charles, we've seen Dr. Evil and Austin Powers change because our podcast is about watching movie series where we start with the first movie, we see the world it creates, and in subsequent sequels and follow-ups, we see how the world expands, how it may contract, when it starts to get tired, and at what point we want to ask, when will it end? And this is our second series, which has now been 2 Mike Myers series in a row. And he did break us, finally, with The Spy Who Shagged Me. I think that's a movie we both disliked profoundly.
Yeah.
And we were both asking, like, man, is there any way that the third in the trilogy doesn't just drag us further into this mire of, like, exhausted jokes and relentless dehumanization? And I don't want to speak for you, but I was pretty delighted by Goldmember. The only one of the series I saw in the theaters in 2002 when it came out. Oh. I really liked Goldmember.
This is my first time watching it, and it might have been after a delirious day. Might have been because of the beautiful meal. I don't know what, but it really, I think it accomplished something that the first 2 movies did not. And I finally felt like this world was a place where I maybe didn't belong, but I enjoyed watching it from afar.
Well, okay, we talked about this in the last episode, but if the Spy Who Shagged Me feels like this, like, masturbatory spiking the football, I'm on top of the world, baby, kind of like, oh my God, it's just too much. It's not funny. They drag out these bits over and over again. Goldmember somehow threads the needle and has all of the weird excess of the second movie, but goes back to that spark of the first movie where it seems like Myers is having fun again in a way that does feel surprisingly fresh.
Yeah.
And we've talked a lot about this, but both Austin and Dr. Evil are so inconsistent. And I think Dr. Evil in this one just spirals off into madness. And they bring back Fat Bastard and Mini-Me. And you're like, okay, God, you know. And then they bring in a new Mike Myers creation, the titular Goldmember.
who I can only assume was played by Mike Myers.
Yes.
Okay,
Both,
I mean, I never even bothered to check.
to
Or ask you.
Myers' credit, both you and Allison had multiple questions about who was playing Fat Bastard and who was playing Goldmember.
I never asked any of these questions. These are all Allison questions.
No, Allison asked about Fat Bastard. You definitely were unsure about Goldmember for a minute.
Yeah, I was unsure. I never asked you, though. I kept
Okay,
it
fine. You didn't
I
vote
kept it a secret. How did you even know?
because you just said it on the podcast.
Right, but it was a secret.
What I'm trying to say is that Myers this dissolves into these characters. And I want to say that for a third movie, you're like, okay, where do we go with this?
Right.
And with the character Goldmember, he launches in a new direction that is so unexpectedly bizarre and works. It like totally works. Where like, another Mike Myers thing where he's like, Dutch people are funny. And to normal people, we're like, I never think about the Dutch. How could that be an archetype that could be explored for anything?
I think about the Dutch sometimes.
What's the context for those thoughts?
Well, there was this one time when I was a child, and my grandmother and I and my 2 siblings and my mom, probably not my dad, because
Anybody else involved? Do you want to?
Well, there is one more person involved, but that's later in the story.
Okay.
I don't think my dad was there because
When was he there?
exactly. Great. I mean, that's
Just to berate
basically what
you?
I was going to say. Yeah.
Tell you
yeah.
never be anything.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
He did, I think, did prepare you for a life of disappointment.
Yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, and it was my mom's mom, so.
And what's her name? Say
They
it.
didn't really get Mummy Shoe.
I love it when you say Mommy Shoe.
No, Mummy Shoe.
Mommy Shoe.
I love it when you say Mummy Shoe.
Mommy Shoe.
Mummy Shoe.
Mommy Shoe.
Mummy Shoe.
Do you think if your face was pressed into Heather Graham's breast, you'd go, Mommy Shoe?
No, I'd probably say, my face is stuck in your gibblies.
I think it's Jubblies.
Jubblers.
Jubblers. It's Jubblers.
Yeah. Baby. Anyway, we were all at Friendly's, the pretty big New England. Is it beyond New England?
It has shrank significantly since our childhood, and it definitely is just New England.
It's really bad. I was going to start another podcast without you, sadly.
I've only started like 2 without you, so
I'd love to have you a part of this, but it was going to be called Waiting to Eat at the Watertown Friendlies, because I went there once. This is a different story. I'm now in another story, just so you know. We'll get back to the first story about the Dutch later.
If you're listening, I would say go put the kettle on.
Go put the kettle
Just
on.
leave this playing. Come back in like what I'm assuming will be 15 minutes.
No, just 2.
Okay.
3? 2 or 3. We spent 3 hours at the Watertown Friendlies from start to finish. It took an hour and a half to get seated, and then another hour to get our food.
That is far too long to wait for very mediocre to bad food.
So we were having fun as friends. One guy was in town. We haven't seen him in a while. But they were literally so understaffed. And it wasn't even busy. There were maybe like 8 tables eating. And they had used the entire back section as a place for dirty dishes. And the staff was just completely overwhelmed. But there were so many of them. I don't know what was happening. Maybe there were no cooks.
I love when you... Well, it's macabre, but I've been in restaurants that are fully melting down a few times, and it is kind of incredible to watch the social order of a restaurant just dissolve as people get more and more furious, and the staff gets both like more nihilistic and more panicked at the same time.
Right.
It's just amazing.
And there's so many drugs. I feel like everyone I work with is on Adderall or weed or alcohol or something. They're all just like drugged out of their mind. It's really fun to watch them from that perspective. But it's sort of like when you're in high school. Sorry. This is a third story, but it's going to be very short.
We finished the second story?
This is like Inception. We're just like slowly going through stories, but we'll erupt back in a scene that's really going to be beautiful.
Okay.
So I just feel like when I was in high school, I didn't really realize that probably like an eighth to a third of my classmates were high in some way or not sober in some way during the school day. And now looking back, and I was like, oh, of course that dude that pierced his ear in home ec making pancakes was probably fucked up on something.
Yeah, I certainly went to school drunk and high pretty thoroughly as it went on.
Yeah, I never did that, and I never really even think that other people would do that. I was a very naive little boy.
Okay, so I'm assuming that's that vignette is done.
That's vignette's done. We're coming back up to Waiting to Eat at the Watertown Friendlies. That's done.
Okay.
So anyway, all the people that I mentioned earlier, we were all at the Watertown Friendlies.
Yeah.
No, we weren't. We were at the Freeport Friendlies in Maine. Sorry,
we got your mom. We got Mommy Shoe.
Mommy Shoe, Philip, and Ann at the time, now Andy. So I think I would probably call her Andy, even though back then she was Ann.
Okay.
Sure. Me.
Charles Hobby.
So we ate. It was fine. Probably pretty good considering I was a little boy. Love those like shit food places. Ice cream, I'm sure we got. my grandmother, who is French, but has a very strange accent, which I think sounds more Dutch than anything. She says to the waiter, because we were upstairs, but there was no clear, they weren't coming around. So she.
Can I guess what she said?
Let's hear what she thinks.
I love gold.
She didn't say that then.
Okay.
That is one of her timeless phrases. She says it before bed. She oftentimes says it after like a sandwich time, you know, when you lay out the meats and the hams and the cheeses.
Of course. Sandwich time, as we all know.
Sandwich time. Maybe you don't have sandwich time. Maybe it's a French tradition.
Well,
I'm
I mean,
not sure.
I grew up in a kosher home. We were not laying out hams and cheeses.
Boy, you have deli meats.
Yes.
Jewish delis are a thing.
Sure they are.
So just not hams, but you'd have
No
your roast
hams.
beasts. You'd have your chicken. You'd have your turkey. Pastrami. Copacabana.
A little bit of corned beef.
Corned beef. A lot of corned beef. She says to the server, and I'm going to say it in English, or she said it in English. I'm going to say it without the accent. She said, "Do we pay here or do we pay downstairs?" But what came out of her mouth was, "Do we pay here or downstairs?" And so the waiter obviously was like, "Excuse me?" And then so she repeated, "Do we pay here or downstairs?" And obviously that went on and on until Mummy Shoe left furious and called the place Meanies until today.
And here we are.
So sometimes I do think about the Dutch because I think my grandmother's accent is less French and more Dutch. So watching Mike Myers
As
Goldmember, like I had little flashbacks of Mummy Shoe prancing through the kitchen saying bastard, because she does say that. She calls me a bastard when we play board games.
I don't want to get too intimate here, but are you legally a bastard?
I mean, as far as I know, no.
Okay.
But, you know, my parents' marriage was pretty rocky even from the start. So.
Well, it's interesting that we're talking about bastards and dubious
Right.
parentage.
Yeah.
Because, you know, I don't want to jump to the end of Goldmember here, but certainly as fans of the series, and again, if you've not watched the first two Austin Powers movies, I would know if I'd just run out to do it, but you know, if you're trying to get a real taste of it from us, the masochists who watched all three in a single day, I highly recommend that you, not do that.
Yeah.
But we do learn a lot about the characters in the Powersverse in this movie.
Right.
And I wanted to ask you two questions. One is we finally meet the father of Austin Powers, Nigel Powers, played by the inimitable Michael Caine.
Michael Caine. Always goes down. His voice never goes up. It's always going down.
What I like about this movie is that he so rarely, as an elder statesman actor, gets to play a weird jackass who's running around being
That's
a
true.
jackass.
Actually,
to
it's
see
really
him,
fun.
Yeah, after like so many Alfreds and Interstellars and
early in his career when he was playing Cold War spies.
right. I mean, the
he was
Ipcris
always-
File.
Yeah.
If you go out and see one movie from us talking, go see the Ipcris File.
Yeah, good one.
Amazing movie.
Yeah, he was always the quiet, sad spy.
Yeah, he's getting like tortured and it just sucks. And he's just
Yeah.
like, this sucks.
Oh, this sucks.
It
Blimey.
sucks.
He does get mad sometimes. I can't do that part.
It's very hard.
He gets mad sometimes.
Right.
But it's always still
The Michael
through.
Caine accent is like spaghetti and meatballs, where it's like a standard, but if you fuck it up, everyone knows it.
Yeah, and it's got two parts. He's got spaghetti, quiet, and meatballs. Loud.
So yeah,
And through the nose.
this movie has one running joke that we both died at, where repeatedly in Austin Powers' life, his father is absent, and it's always at a big public event, and the crowd always loudly laughs and mocks Austin Powers, and it'll always cut to the same old man going, ha ha, like Nelson in The Simpsons. And what I thought was amazing is that in the first one, I want to know what you thought about this. He gets knighted after capturing Dr. Evil, and he's up there, like, presumably in Buckingham Palace or whatever, and he's like,
I don't know.
my daddy's not here, and everyone's just laughing at him.
Yeah.
I was like, is this like a dream? Is he having a nightmare? No.
I didn't
It's
think
just
that.
the reality of the movie. It's so played up and so bizarre and cruel. And it's so funny. So when they flash back to his father also missing his high school graduation and they do it again, I died. It was really good.
Really good joke. And it's true. Like I believe that's how much. So I was thinking, do we call this the Powersverse or the Austin Powverse?
That's terrible. How about the verse who shagged me?
The verse who shagged me? No, let's stick to the
Okay.
Powersverse.
The pod who cast me. That's it.
The Pod Who Cast Me?
Yeah, that should
No, that's bullshit.
No, it's good.
That's awful.
It's pretty good.
Jesus Christ.
I kind of like it.
Austin Powersverse is better than that.
You can't even say your own bad idea.
Austin Powersverse.
Yeah.
I think the world they create is so believably out of control that when a whole host of people start laughing at Austin Powers because his dad isn't there, like, I believe that was actually happening. So I think that's one thing that this movie's finally doing, is making a world where it's so elaborately out of control that I believe in it. Finally.
Well, and this one starts in such a way. This one really gets going.
Yes.
With
Let's
an
talk about
elaborate
this.
Mission Impossible 2 tribute.
Wait, you know the years. When did Mission Impossible 2 come out?
It must have been within a year of that.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, because the first movie's 97 or 98.
Yeah,
the Palma one. And then 2 must have been 2001.
Yeah.
And this starts with Gwyneth Paltrow and Tom Cruise as,
It like literally looks like the same location.
Yeah,
from the opening of Mission Impossible 2.
Whatever spot in Utah or Nevada they shot that in, it's the same spot. And we're like, this looks like Mission Impossible 2. And then it cuts to Tom Cruise as Austin Powers. And by the way, Tom Cruise, to his credit, he is dialed in all the time.
He's a great Austin Powers.
He's a great Austin Powers. You're watching this and it's like, you know what? I'm actually buying this.
Yeah. And he's
And he doesn't do the voice, which is amazing.
Right.
He just goes,
It still
behave.
works.
And he just nailed. It's great. I got a little
we had
horned
this
up.
game.
Yeah.
We had this game while we were watching it in the very first movie. If we got horny, we were supposed to tell the entire room that we were horny.
Right, because the whole thing about the series is that it's the horniest series.
It is the horniest.
Well, I guess American Pie is pretty horny.
There's
By
a
the
lot
way,
of
that's
horny.
on the list.
That's on the list. We
There's
got a lot on the
30
list,
of them.
guys.
That's Eugene Levy's entire retirement, savings come from.
I didn't even know he was in that.
He is in all of them.
This is another series that I was too good for.
Sure.
Because they came out early 2000s?
Yeah.
Even late 90s? I don't
Late
even remember.
90s, early 2000s.
When I was in high school.
Sure.
I was too good for things when I was in high school.
Well, I would say if Sean William Scott's Godfather is Dude, Where's My Car, his Godfather Part 2 is the American Pie series.
The whole series is his Godfather
Stifler is at least in the first few, I think. We'll save it. But no, we're saying it's a horny series. When they cut to Tom Cruise in full Austin Powers gear, I got a little wet.
I got a little hard.
Yeah.
Allison, I think, was looking at her phone.
I don't think she is as enamored of Tom Cruise. Most straight men in America do constantly fantasize about Tom Cruise.
That's probably true.
I think that's a reality.
I don't think you have any evidence for it. But
I can't speak
based on your own.
I can't speak to any other community, but as a straight American man, I think the kind of fetishized action star he has become, because he's a little bit more, he's smaller and a little more, I don't know. You worry about him more than a Bruce Willis, I would say.
Sure.
Like Bruce, he's covered in blood. There's glass just popping out of him and bullets ricocheting around him. But he's like,
you sort of want him to die.
Right.
And he's not doing it for you.
Tom is a little beautiful elfin man, and you just want to take care of him.
But he's also a big elfin man. He's like the elf that all the other elves make fun of.
He's king of the elves, but it's still smaller than a human.
I don't even think he'd be elected.
You think? But I said
He's not.
king.
He's not.
You don't elect a king. He was born into the role.
I think he'd very quickly be either the one that people laughed about and didn't respect and then waited for the next one, or they would just get... I mean, his body's like... He's not like a Legolas elf. He's got a very burly shoulder.
I'm a little confused because you brought up him being king of the elves.
You said king of the elves.
You said he was like a leader of elves.
I did not. You said that.
Okay.
Jesus Christ.
Long story short, everyone loves Tom Cruise.
Except for the elves.
He's king of the elves.
I don't think the elves would like it very much.
Well, yes, okay. So this movie starts like with a Hollywood parody spoof of Austin Powers.
It bookends the film.
Which is, okay, I would say the reveal at the end, again, there's a few big reveals. When they reveal who's playing Goldmember in the Hollywood movie version, and it's John Travolta, I was like, this is a fucking great movie.
Yeah.
They got Travolta to dress up as Goldmember. That's legit crazy.
I think Nicolas Cage would be a little better, but I do, like, honestly, maybe not. I don't know. John Travolta is such like a... He's not doing that much that I can think of, that like having him, even back then, I think he was sort of not really all that popular.
Okay, here's the thing. Nick Cage doing Goldmember is way too believable.
Right.
I could actually see him doing a really terrifying Goldmember. But Travolta's
wait, so
like,
what are we saying here? We want the person that's not going to be good? Because I feel like
I think it's
Tom Cruise was fucking awesome as Austin Powers.
But the same level of miscasting that makes that a great choice makes Travolta a great choice for Goldmember.
I see what you're saying.
Right.
Yeah. So he would be not the Goldmember that we know. It
The
would be
sole connection
like,
is
weird,
that Goldmembers from the 70s where disco was big. And they're like, well, okay, we'll get John Travolta, the disco
Yeah, he
guy.
looks good in those pants.
Right.
Yeah.
So, okay, so this movie is great because...
Wait, we haven't talked about Danny DeVito as
Oh, yeah. Oh, my
Mini-Me.
God. Okay, so we were talking about the trailer, again, to date this a little bit. The trailers for Tim Burton's Dumbo have emerged. And every line that they've shared of DeVito in the two trailers is DeVito in classic. Like Dumbo flies by. It's like, holy shit, an elephant.
That's his thing. I mean, we were talking about Mars Attacks. He's just like, oh my God, it's Tom Jones.
Right, like the
that's
DeVito we
his
love.
thing.
He shows up and just screams whatever is happening, and it's just amazing.
And
It's
then-
so good. And then the eerily well cast Kevin Spacey as Dr. Evil, which
Yeah.
from this vantage point is, like it scans. We know him to be a monstrous man.
Yeah, it works. But I think we were talking about the Danny DeVito thing before this happened. I do think that Austin Powers maybe is a real time traveler and has just spent the day with us. Where like everything we've done, everything we've talked about has happened after we've talked about it. We requested more of time travel and more whatever, and the second one, that happened. We requested we talked about Danny DeVito screaming in the car. Suddenly he's screaming, "It's me, Mini-Me," and then he shoots a gun in the movie. So this movie, even though they were all over the place, they really did match what we wanted.
It is bizarre. And I guess like it's funny because in a way, this is the most Spike the Football opening ever, where all these A-list stars are here. He does a fucking number with Britney Spears, who then he destroys as a fembot, who then appears in the credits to try to fuck Mini-Me, which is amazing.
Yeah,
Truly amazing.
Her career was good at that point in time.
Still,
And
she's trawling through this like trashy movie. It's
Yeah.
great. So even more than two, this is like everyone wants a piece of this. The female lead is Beyonce Knowles. It's demented how big that this franchise had become with the third movie.
It's really weird. That's I think one of the fun parts. Not to make we made a good podcast. That's a fun thing to look at. Is like to watch the total just weird like that happened in real life that Beyonce kissed Mike Myers because she wanted to be in. I mean, they must have asked her, but like she's a powerful person and she's choosing to be in this shitty spy movie.
And being an actress is like what the third or fourth thing on her resume. I mean, she's not like constantly acting. She's, a cultural symbol, a singer, a producer. I'm sure she has, some sort of branding going on. It's such a great, bizarre choice. And I want to give it to her. Beyonce, you are the best Powers girl.
Best
of the entire
Powers
series,
girl.
without a doubt.
The best Powers girl. Oh
I would
my God.
rank in order so we have Foxy Cleopatra.
Great name.
Great name. Number 2, we'll go back to Vanessa Kensington.
Sure.
The great Elizabeth Hurley, a.k.a. Posh Spice. And in a distant third,
I don't even consider her to be a Powers girl.
she's almost not in the movie.
She's not
Other
a
than
character.
highlighting her breasts the entire film, Heather Graham
Yeah.
is hardly a presence in The Spy Who Shagged Me.
So yeah, she's great. That's the thing. This movie really brought it because the second one also came out screaming. But this is such a different way to just like charge into a movie. The first one, the second one was like he like was literally screaming, "Yeah, baby, yeah," just like from the get-go. They're like, "I'm single now, horny baby," just saying words that didn't make sense. And this is like also a fucking in-your-face start, but it's like it's so weird and it's playing with your expectations. Like I feel like it's even taking a step back at the same time as running forward. It's really cool.
Yeah.
I think they sort of, and this is the series. They know now what's working, what's not working, and how to like really engage with this character and this world.
And one of the things that I think in every movie I really like are the editing in this, when it works, is so funny. When they just like launch between things so sharply. And in this, the pacing of the first few minutes is so nuts. And I love that we cut to Hollywood. Dr. Evil's back with the crew. Number 2, Frau What's-Her-Name, an increasingly bald Scott Evil who's trying to take over the family business. And by the way, if he really helms the evil side of this in Austin Powers 4, I would be delighted. I love Seth Green in these movies.
What's he been up to lately?
Lord knows.
Yeah, I don't know if he's still like he's charming because he's looks like a high schooler. I think
Yeah, and he is getting on.
maybe he's actually bald now.
We'll find out in Austin Powers 4, which, as you told me before the record,
As of November, it's looking good.
November 2018. Again, just to put a little bit of a flag on this.
Right, but we can date that.
We can date
because that happened.
It's been months since that was announced, but
Right.
very exciting. But no, so Dr. Evil's like, I've got a devious new plan. No one can stop me. He's immediately stopped, instantly stopped by Austin Powers. He's put in a high security system, prison thing. And it turns out Austin Powers' father's been kidnapped. Austin Powers goes to confront Dr. Evil. And one of my favorite dumb jokes of the entire series, they're talking between this like thick plexiglass door wall thing. It's like Magneto's prison in the X-Men movies. And they're talking through this like thick door. And towards the end of the scene, Dr. Evil just presses on the door and it just swings open.
It was a good joke.
It's so funny.
It was a good joke. Lots of little good jokes like that.
Yeah.
And I think it works because, as we've said before, even in the second one, Mike Myers is aware of his body and he knows how to use it. So like the door opening on its own, but then he scampers around like a little weirdo as a Dr. Evil, and it's just really perfect.
He closes the door for himself, his back's back into his cell. It's so funny.
Yeah, it's good stuff. Good.
So yeah, the self-awareness that they tried out in 2, I think it's a lot better in this. I think it's I also they take it so much, like they go back to the 70s for like a fucking minute.
Right.
Like it's like they don't even pretend to really go anywhere with it.
Yeah.
There's like a pimp car and he dresses like in a big fur coat.
Yeah, it's New York this time.
Yeah, they're in like Andy Warhol's factory style thing, but it's just like it's very silly and light, and I think the second one had like a sourness to it, and this one doesn't feel sour.
Right. Let's talk about that because we do have the 2 recurring characters that it wasn't funny to watch them beat up and call names and drag around Mini-Me. He gets some of that, but what it does work for is he is realizing that they don't respect him in the evil organization, so he turns sides. And I think this movie, and then the fat bastard, it's like,
just fat bastard.
But
you keep saying the fat. It's you add this gravitas to his name.
I don't know. I sort of feel like it's a Batman thing where I hate calling him the Batman.
You can call him the Bat.
I can?
I am the Bat. Man.
That's pretty. Wait, is there a comma?
Is
that always what it is?
Ellipses.
Ellipses.
Man.
Cool.
I am the Bat, parenthetical. Man.
I think it's because I consider him to not have a name, so fat bastard is a descriptor, so it's like the fat bastard, like not, or a fat bastard even.
But you're saying there's more humanity to it.
Anyway, you're just getting me derailed by this stupid name, but I guess that's fair.
It is fair. All's fair in love and podcasting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But anyway, my point was that Mini-Me disrespected without remorse in the second one. Fat bastard, similar. The third one, they both are initially shat upon, but what it does is shows that we shouldn't do that to them. And even though it's just like it's not dehumanizing them. I actually felt some humanity from both characters in this one.
Okay, well, entertainingly, I would say the Mini-Me being savagely beaten in this movie is hysterical.
Yes.
I loved it. But again, there's just enough agency in both of those characters' parts where we see their lives a little bit outside of those things where like they're more fully realized. And in the second movie, they're just the flattest, like just abuse targets ever. And in this one, while they are thoroughly abused, there's like enough of a humanity to them that we get more of a sense of who they are, where it doesn't feel quite as throwaway.
But everyone's abused in these movies, and I think that's what was problematic in the second one was that, they didn't have any humanity. They had no backstory. They were props. Where here, like, you really get into, he's a sad little man, and he wants to be loved, and he feels discouraged by the way he's treated by his boss and his supposed father figure friend. And then the fight scenes where he's getting pummeled by Mike Myers, it like becomes more of a slapstick routine rather than like literally throwing a doll around like it was in the second one. Like it became more like, a Two Stooges routine.
Well, even we see him like reacting like, no, I'm okay. Or, like we see those little moments where like people at least ask how he like they like respond to him like a person.
Right. And he apologizes because of the miscommunication. Like it isn't like that was in the scene where Mike Myers is beating up or Austin Powers is beating up Mini-Me. It's not because he's a little rag doll that they can piss all over. It's because he thinks he's a bad guy trying to kill him.
They flash back to when he deceived him in a previous movie and kicked him in the face.
Yeah. So but afterwards they become friends. He dresses up like Austin Powers. He's very cute.
It's amazing. I would say
sort of weird.
Either
because of his face makeup,
the pallor of his skin, or the face makeup does make him look like a tiny corpse, which is not.
Yeah, they used too much white makeup. I think. I don't know why they needed any.
It's a bizarre choice. The visual is very strange.
Yeah, and the glasses looked very good
the
on
glasses
him.
are great. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was a very nice change, and then the fat bastard has little speeches about himself, I think, or I don't know. He just felt way more real, and he loses weight at the end, but not because he needed to, just because he felt like that was the right thing to do. I don't know.
I don't think we need to dig too deeply into Fat Bastard, but I think even the fact that like they go to Tokyo and part of their quest to track down, you know, what Dr. Evil's new insidious plot is with Goldmember, and we run into Fat Bastard as a sumo wrestler, and it's kind of nice that they like harness his size and girth to like an actual practice or culture or something where he's not the outlier in the room, but he's part of something. And this is like an insane level of looking into the humanity of Fat Bastard, but I do like that we sort of see him like finding a community or a home for his unique talents.
Yeah,
it's nice.
And he comes to the screening at the end, so he's like not vilified anymore. I think he finally also realizes that he could be doing better.
Yeah.
And he has a little night. It's just nice to see that there's a person in there rather than just a fat man that gets made fun of.
Yeah.
So
now there is a new character in these movies who is ridiculed for a physical oddity.
But wait,
Fred Savage as the mole.
But that's funny. That's just funny.
Shit is amazing.
That's just funny.
It's so good. So the Dr. Evil has a new employee who turns out to be a mole for the British Secret Intelligence.
But he has
a large mole on his face. It sounds like something that should not work and does not have a lot of mileage in it. They managed to drive across the country on a very, very flimsy premise.
I think the scene where was it Mini-Me or Austin Powers who like scratch? I think it was Mini-Me scratches at his face with a
Powers
stick.
Does. It's hysterical.
Like, it goes to such extremes. And
both Evil and Powers are attempting to restrain themselves from drawing attention to the mole, and it is so funny. It felt like Peter Sellers. Like that felt like a classic Peter Sellers kind of like Clouseau
and
thing.
Fred Savage is perfect in it. Where he's just
as
like,
a foil, he is amazing.
He's just like the only normal person in the room every time it's happening, and he's just like, all right. Yes, I know I have a mole.
Kind of like Michael York. He's just like a straight character trying to do his job.
Yeah.
And there's something so funny in this world.
That's true.
Where it's like, I'm just trying to do my job. I'm 100% committed to this. And like, it's not silly. It's what I do.
And I know
I'm a
what's
team member.
happening.
It's so good.
Yeah.
If you've never seen The Grinder, the wonderful, woefully canceled Rob Lowe, Fred Savage TV series,
Never
on
seen
Fox, it's amazing.
What's it about? Sandwiches?
I wish. I do love sandwiches. But no, Rob Lowe plays a TV lawyer who goes back to his hometown to join his brother and father's law firm. So his brother, Fred Savage, is like a normal lawyer guy, and Rob Lowe is this TV lawyer who's just crazy. He called The Grinder.
He's called The Grinder.
That's his TV lawyer name.
Okay.
It's amazing.
It's good.
It's like his performance in that, the only analog I can think of is Hugh Grant in Paddington 2, where Rob Lowe is playing a Rob Lowe type, and it's very funny.
That's good. Yeah, Paddington 2.
But we got home from dinner. We went out to a lovely meal.
Yeah.
The Dreamway Lodge here
Dreamway Lodge.
Beckett, Massachusetts. And we got home to my mom finishing Paddington 2, and me, Allison, and Charles had to scurry past it because they were building up to the big climactic reveal of Aunt Lucy's visit to London.
The weep scene.
Makes me very emotional.
Also called the weep scene.
I would say that movie has 3 or 4 strong weep scene contenders. Yeah. When they cut to him in prison and the camera pulls away and he's writing the letter to Aunt Lucy, and he's like, it's very cold here. I'm just like, fuck me.
Yeah.
Let Paddington out of fucking prison.
But you knew it was going to be okay.
Well, I know, but like that's the magic of Paddington. They can take you all the way down and then drag you back up to the top.
I think that movie's so good.
It is fantastic.
Yeah, I wish they're going to make a third one and then we can do it for the series.
Paddington 2, I've never been thirstier for a trilogy.
We need to wait. We've been talking a lot about series that we're doing. I think we can't do any that are currently in production because we need to wait for them to be done. The
second any of them are done, we're gonna rush over there.
But there's a lot of ground to cover in the 70s, 80s, 90s.
It's true.
So let's go back a little bit before.
Sounds good.
But these Paddington movies, someone's told me that they were for children. Not true. Children can watch them.
It's the British version of childhood fiction, which are so steeped in like bitter reminders of the agony of life. where I kind of like it, where they really preparing you for a life that's going to be full of real challenges that are like not cute, but like just staggeringly difficult.
It's really great.
Okay, so we're talking about the third Austin Powers movie. This I think was a real rallying way to end a long day. Are you asking when will it end after Goldmember?
Well, that's the sad thing is that we know that it technically is over because it's been 17 years since the third one. I mean, it might come back, but no, I'm like finally feeling like I'm comfortable here. And it's a bittersweet moment, maybe even a weep moment that I'm finally feeling comfortable.
Okay, well, let me just note this.
Yes.
We talked about that, how in the Bioshock movie, they doubled the budget to like $33-something million. This movie, closer to $70 million. It looks fantastic.
It looks great.
For obviously, a 17-year-old movie, it looks great.
And some of that budget went to the stars, I'm thinking.
They must have dumped that into the appearances.
Yeah, a lot of cameos.
So looking into the future of the series, we've now visited the 60s and the late 90s.
Yeah.
And now the mid-70s and the early thousands.
Right.
In your mind, what is the logical next? Should we presume that more time travel is to come? And between you and me, it seems like the next logical... Between you and me, like there's going to be more time travel.
Yeah, I agree.
How could they not?
It's got to be more
There's
time
so
travel.
much fucking time travel.
And I think what's going to happen is, especially since it's been almost 20 years since the third one came out, who knows? Maybe they'll go back to 2002.
But we haven't touched the 80s at all. They do a throwaway line joking about the 80s. We never actually get a taste of Austin in the 80s. And while they do the 90s, they do the late 90s as the contemporaneous moment of the first film, not really plumbing the depths of the 90s in a way that from 28, 19, Jesus Christ. What year is it?
Stop that.
What year is it?
It's awful. We're confused. Talking about time travel. It's confusing.
Right. From our vantage point, how could you not do the 90s in full?
I think what would be bold is, has there been they could be the first movie that would be actively nostalgic for the 2000s. Like, has that happened yet?
Well, here's something interesting. If you think about it, this is a post 9/11 movie. It
That is
obviously
interesting.
was written and produced in advance of 9/11, but it is kind of crazy to think about. Like, I think they should bring on Nolan to reboot the series. Like a broken, shattered Austin Powers, like, searches for his father and it's the ruins.
In 9/11?
Wow. I don't know.
Oh my God.
That'd be really hard because I think technically speaking, the movie's set in 2002. So it may be canonically in the Austin Powers world, 9/11 never happened.
Because it is a nonsense world.
They don't address it in the post 9/11 movies. So maybe we're to believe that it didn't happen.
Wow. That would be really cool. Can you imagine a world that didn't happen?
Where Tim Robbins was president, the Cold War was over.
Wow.
No 9/11.
No 9/11.
Wow.
I'm just thinking about it right now.
Oh, here's something about this movie.
Oh, sorry.
They go to Japan and it stays primarily not that racist.
Is it ever racist? Honestly, the most racist, I think, is the beginning when the two Japanese
the twins are trying to seduce him.
But I think it's racist because they just misspell Fook, right? That's not how you spell Fook in Japanese or transliterate. It would be F-U-K.
Okay, so the joke is in the now classic paradigm of the Austin Powers movies, from Robin Swallows to, Felicity Shagwell. Everyone's got a very Randy name.
Randy.
And these two Japanese twins named Fook Mi and Fook Yu appear to seduce Austin at the beginning of this movie.
That just sounds like a Chinese name, I believe.
I'm not going to get into this one. I'm going to stay on the sidelines.
You're going to stay out. Cool.
You know what?
I'm jumping in.
I just don't know enough.
I believe I know, like, there's some authors that have names that are like Fukuyama. That's all F-U. I believe they fucked up. They might have fooked up even.
If we're talking about the transliteration of an Asian name in Austin Powers 3, I'm willing to believe that they may have not gone entirely by the book.
Right.
Yeah.
But I can't even think of any. I don't know. Maybe it's because I wasn't paying attention. But I think they dealt with him being in Japan much better than, say, You Only Live Twice did. So.
Oh, yeah. Oh, for sure.
Yeah. Where like he didn't get his eyes taped back or whatever and his chest shaved or whatever.
So awful. That movie has some great stuff in it, but wow, the bad stuff is awful.
It was my favorite when I was a kid.
Well, the helicopter is super cool.
And the ending where they go into the volcano.
The volcano, and then the ninjas come down through the rappelling cables.
That's sick.
But also like racism towards Asian people is like still so permissible in our culture. I think of any culture who still on a regular basis gets the shit end of the stick of representation as Asian people. And I was definitely flinching, being like, oh God, they're going to go to Japan. Right. It's going to be like...
It's going to be a nightmare.
Right. But no, they by and large avoid it.
And it was very funny because they used the subtitles effectively, but it didn't even make fun of the way he was talking. It was really great.
The elaborate subtitles bit, I remember from seeing it in theaters and I love it.
Yeah, that's really funny. That was
really
good.
good.
That was good shit. And he's like, wait, I could just talk in English. And they're like, oh yeah, that we wouldn't have to misread your subtitles.
It's funny.
It was great.
It's delightful.
So yeah, I think maybe the sumo wrestlers, as far as I know, weren't made fun of. Yeah, it was pretty good.
No, it was, again, which is a weird, like that's one of those hurdles where I was almost
ready for
certain it was going to like stumble into something really awful. But no, they avoid it. So good for you, Mike.
Yeah, so it's the high hopes for the next one where they, they're already learning about how to not dehumanize people. Everyone was treated very well in this movie, and it was nice to just watch it rather than cringe at so much. That was the biggest problem with number 2, is that so many not just the jokes were cringeworthy, but just like the way they were dealing with people was really just hard to watch.
Well, I'm hoping that if there is indeed an Austin Powers 4, given the huge failure of The Love Guru and the almost 2 decades since this movie came out, I'm hoping that he's going to approach it with that hunger again, where he's not going to have the sort of callous king of the world vibe of The Spy Who Shagged Me, but sort of this going back to maybe some sort of, I'm going to try to have this more be like a heartwarming tale, not like a smug tale.
Well, especially if we've learned anything from the Shrekverse, where almost every movie was like a heartwarming, but it was a hard traveled road about problems in your life, but it wasn't. It was like very heartfelt about how to actually be there for people. So I think Mike Myers Down Deep has a good heart.
A good heart. Okay, the thing is, the parallels between this and Shrek 3 are huge.
Yeah.
For us, Shrek 3 was, I'm sure as the series go on canonically, Shrek 3 is a pivotal turning point movie that works. When you think there's no way it's going to work, it's fantastic, the best of the series. Same thing here. It's a pivotal moment. They close out the original trilogy with a really strong movie with a lot of heart. And a lot of it's about fatherhood.
Yeah.
I want to talk to you about, like, this big introduction at the end of the movie that Dr. Evil is indeed the brother of Mike Myers, of Austin Powers. What did you think? Did you buy that? Did you like that?
I loved it.
Okay.
I thought it was really great. And of course, the whole thing is nonsense, like with the car blowing up. But I love that they used his backstory, like from the speech he gave in the first movie, as it's like it tracks. They never just say, oh, that was a lie or made up. Like he actually was adopted by these people that he says he was and beaten into being evil. They used that. And then it just turns out that they were separated at birth. And like connecting them together, I think it does show that they're two sides of the same coin.
Well, I've shared this with you in the past. It's one of my favorite quotes ever, but it's from Bobcat Goldthwait about his movie A Dog Story or Dog's Tale. I can't remember what it's called. But this movie about this person who reveals to her partner her darkest sexual secret that she once fucked a dog.
Oh.
And Bobcat's quote about the movie is that in other people's movies, a joke like that's a throwaway joke. But in my movies, the whole movie's then about someone who's fucked a dog. Like, we really get into it.
Yeah.
So I love that this throwaway speech from the first movie is actually like a huge emotional core of the third movie. I like that they really they dig into it.
We see the flashback of his parents multiple times, of his like...
his Belgian father and his French 15-year-old webfoot prostitute mother.
Yeah, we see them a couple times.
They recovered a blood-soaked baby from the side of the road, that old chestnut.
And it wasn't even that, like, he gave one of them up. Like, he lost his wife.
Nigel Powers.
Nigel Powers loses his wife and thinks he also loses one of his sons and finds Austin on this, blasted away, and saves him. And then somehow realizes later that, I don't know how he realizes that, I guess he's a spy. He can figure that shit out.
Well, there's a lot of questions. Like at times in these movies, people just appear out of nowhere with information that we cannot suss out how they got.
They're
Who
spies.
Cares? They're spies.
They're
whatever.
spies. They know shit.
So, okay, like in Shrek 3, in Austin Powers 3, we also go back to a high school young person setting.
Oh, that's true.
Right. So I was interested in, did you like the representation of now all of a sudden they retcon the entire series so that Dr. Evil, Basil Exposition, and Austin Powers went to this elite spy boarding school together. I love how fucking completely dick swinging, doesn't give a shit this move is. It makes no sense.
Makes no sense.
I think Michael York introduces himself to Austin Powers in the first movie.
Oh, and number 2 is there too.
Yeah. It's like everyone just all of a sudden has the same high school experience, which I love.
It was very fun.
It shows the elasticity and the contours of this world, which just bends to whatever. Even Shrek has a slightly more sturdy universe.
Shrek? I don't know if it's because it's a kid's movie or was made later, but it holds much more rigidly to its universe.
Right. This is so fluid, which gives me hope for 4. But anyways, so did you like that return to, like, now we're seeing the high school version of many of these characters?
I liked it for a lot of reasons. I liked it because we got to see that joke again. It made sense in the context, but it like kept popping up. It wasn't just like a throwaway joke. It became, they obviously like, well, we're gonna. It might have been incepted by the joke, like, oh, I have this joke about flashing back to the same situation in high school, but they're like, wait, we could use that joke and like build a world out of it. And I think that's what we're finally getting in this movie that wasn't there. They weren't just like haphazardly throwing people into times. They were maybe initially being like, all right, we'll go to this high school thing, we'll go to the 70s, but they then used all that time to make space for a story, make place for people. I think it's all working.
I entirely agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like, so this time Dr. Evil's main headquarters is a massive submarine.
That looks like
him. It's so funny.
And he shits out a little tractor beam.
Yeah, now the joke is that the thing's called the Preparation H is going to suck a gold meteor to destroy the Earth.
I didn't get that joke.
Preparation H is something you put if you have hemorrhoids.
Right.
So the joke is that like when Scott Evil says it, Preparation H feels good on the whole, it's a joke about buttholes.
Okay, so they just wanted to make a butt joke.
Well, like when Tom Arnold says you're gonna blow out your O-ring in the first movie.
Yeah, but that just like made sense to me.
It's true. Tom Arnold just delivers.
Maybe Preparation H is just not something I've had too much contact with in my life.
It's another brand and context-heavy joke that's gonna age very poorly.
Right.
And also, we didn't really mention this in the second one. There's so many '90s jokes that just are so trapped in a prison forever. Like Vanilla Ice and Gary Coleman get like it's like shattered out. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Okay, in this one on the submarine, I think one of my favorite bits of this movie's Dr. Evil failing to sit down on a seat correctly from the first movie, which is like the funniest thing in the first movie. When they drop the globe from the roof of the thing
was good.
onto his head and then hit him in the balls with the gold meteor model. I live for that stuff.
And yet, so at this point in the viewing, just so everyone knows, Josh's voice was really hurting. So he had chosen to enact himself. He was silent throughout the entire movie. And he was trying so hard to be quiet and not just speak and erupt into a loud, boisterous laugh. And it was really like funny to watch him. Like he was so tight with joy. It was really beautiful. Because that scene is very funny. And then it ends with him saying, let me find my penis, basically.
No, let me find my balls. 1, 2, 3, good, all there.
Yeah.
Which is another great little thing they just drop into the movie. Dr. Evil's 3 testicles. They don't ever draw attention to it again. It's great.
We have a lot to cover in the last couple of minutes. I do want to talk about Goldmember just a little bit and his performance.
Okay, so I was prepared for Goldmember, having seen the movie 17 years ago.
Yeah.
I was really wondering how much of it would work this far later. There's a lot of stuff with Goldmember. A lot of it. And
it's all fabricated. It's based on nothing, which is cool because like all these characters, well, that's your Dr. Evil's now becoming Canadian. Like everything is shifting. Like when they flash back to movie 1 and like you hear him, he literally says the same line twice. They sound so different. The world is coming together. And I think this is working. I think the movie is allowing for Dr. Evil to be a Canadian. And it's all these things that are now making sense. The world is coming together finally. And we now have this new Dutch man who makes absolutely no sense. And I love him.
Yeah. I love gold.
His voice, his antics, the fact that he's like
like a toy guy.
He's what, like 70 years old, but can kick behind his neck.
And the skin eating is what I remembered the most from my
incredible.
Child.
Incredible. Like I was gagging at that.
He just eats his own dried skin.
Ooh, that's a keeper.
It is definitely the craziest thing in the movie because it is absolutely, even him being able to flex his legs behind his head. It's like, well, he's a disco guy, he's rollerblading. I kind of get that. Him eating his own skin throughout the movie is so upsetting and so strange.
Yeah.
It has no role in anything.
It comes from nowhere. He has a little box for it. It's elaborate.
It's so elaborate.
And it works. And I think that's what they know. Maybe one of them went to creative writing school and learned that the details are where the heart of a story lives. So to have a character that you can be repulsed by his little, like very specific, I don't even know what, obsession?
Well, it's unforgettable.
Anxiety-induced rules that behave, or he behaves behind his life. It's unforgettable. It's beautiful. And he works. And I think we learn that you can absolutely make fun of European people. Don't make fun of little people. Don't make fun of fat people.
Make fun of European
people.
Make
fun of French people.
They're
make fun
funny.
of the Dutch. Make fun of Italians.
Belgians.
They're bad people.
They're not good.
And they're funny to make fun of. And one of Michael Caine's lines is just like...
There's only two people I hate in the world. People who are intolerant and the Dutch.
And the Dutch. And it's a great joke. Line. Great joke. Well delivered. So.
And the whole joke just seems to me that Mike Myers picked the Dutch. That's it. There's nothing... There's no pre-existing thoughts about... You said it was fabricated. He truly pulls something out of nowhere. And it's amazing.
And I think that's what he maybe learned. Maybe not. He just learned that you shouldn't make fun of a group that's already being made fun of. But you can make fun of the Dutch because no one even knows really who they are.
Well, it's a kind of punching down that's like weirdly brilliant.
It's not even punching down. It's punching nowhere because the Dutch have like, especially as an American, like, I don't know what the fucking Dutch do. I don't know who they are. They're a tiny little country. Are they Holland? Maybe.
No one knows.
No one knows.
No one knows.
Who gives a shit? They're just...
They got wooden shoes.
They got shoes. They got windmills. They got roses or something. I don't know. Who fucking cares?
Tulips, I believe, is their thing.
Tulips. Yeah, they're so, like, who fucking gives a shit? They're rich, European.
Maybe. I don't know.
They gotta be. They're European. They have this, like, they have, isn't the Hague and something? Like, they're national...
I think that's in the Netherlands.
That's not the Netherlands.
I think it is.
I think it's... I don't know. Who fucking cares?
No one cares.
Make fun of them.
Who gives a shit?
Who gives a shit?
Yeah, and it's funny because, like, you see, with a character like Fat Bastard, Myers is leaning in so hard. Like, it's just such a thing. And Dr. Evil and Austin Powers, like, with Goldmember, he can just do whatever.
Right.
And it's great. The beauty of Goldmember is that he doesn't seem evil so much as, like, in his own universe and just doing things for his own purposes. It's kind of hard to tell what his motivation is.
Exactly. I was just about to say that.
Like, I think everyone else is bound to like a very specific archetype, and Goldmember really can just do whatever he wants.
Do you think this influenced Heath Ledger's performance in The Dark Knight?
Undoubtedly.
Yeah, like we have this wild card character that is not behaving by the rules. He doesn't have a role. He's not a good guy. He's not a bad guy. He's a menace.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's just a freaky
Dutch
fucking
menace.
weirdo.
Yeah.
And like, I think like it's cool because like Dr. Evil, his idea is like, we're going to take this evil archetype and just make it like cartoonish and bizarre. But with Goldmember, it's truly off the wall. The sense of humor I don't know, we're going in a circle here, but I love Goldmember. He works against all the odds.
And you know what? I don't even want him to come back.
No, one and done for him. I think where I'm satisfied.
He was perfect.
I pray that as a fresh start with Scott Evil, I would just love it to be a brand new fresh start.
So let's spend some time. If we are done with the series, we will be watching The Love Guru.
That'll be our bonus for this Austin Powers series, because to understand Mike Myers, we have to see his next huge swing at a character that is critically...
And we could even consider him to be a small bit character in Austin Powers 1.
He lays the seeds. He lays the seeds, yeah.
But so like, if there is going to be a 4... What do we want from this? Like, where are we? Do we want this to end? Do we want this to keep going?
I want Austin Powers 4.
Me too.
I think he settles into a groove that works in 3, and I'm like, there is enough momentum here for a 4. Now, again, almost 20 years later, God knows what that's going to look like.
Here's what I want.
What at?
I don't want Mike Myers as Austin Powers. I want somebody else. I want this to do a Bond. I want a new actor to take the helm and see what happens.
How do you feel about a Kingsman Austin Powers crossover?
I like it.
They're very similar.
I like it. Yeah. That would be great.
And like in Kingsman, well, obviously it's only a twofer right now. Kingsman 2 is a terrible movie.
Very awful.
Similar to the Austin Powers thing, I think you have this like breakout surprise hit, and then you get too comfortable, and it just sucks.
Yeah.
Kingsman 2 is a disaster. I hate that movie.
I never
even Mark Strong, who's like the British Stanley Tucci.
Yeah,
that's high
exactly
praise.
Who he is.
Okay.
Yeah.
And they even ruin him in that.
Sings John Denver and blows up. Who gives a fuck?
Okay, that character affectation is just like Sam Neill in The Hunt for Red October, who's like, I love Nebraska. I will move to Nebraska.
Yeah.
It's corny and dumb, and I hate it.
It's not a scab picking, flesh falling off detail.
That's crazy.
The Nebraska, the John Denver shit, like you can obviously tell they threw it in pretending it's a detail. It has no reality.
No.
Not like a flake of skin coming off your shoulder and you stick it in your mouth.
Yeah, an eccentric Dutchman with a gold penis is amazing.
That's a key.
Anyways, so no, what I'm interested in is like Scott Evil's whole thing the entire time is like, Dad, your plans are fucking shitty. You're an idiot. You can never get it done. Just kill him.
Yeah.
And I'd love to see an Austin Powers where not like a grim, dark, brutal Austin Powers, but maybe a little bit more of that, where like he's facing some slightly higher stakes a little bit, or I don't know, would that kill the tone of the whole series? I don't know.
No, I think it could work.
Okay.
I think we were joking when we were watching 2 and so disappointed that Lars von Trier, like if this had been directed by Lars von Trier, it would actually be funny
Incredible,
and
yeah.
weird and brutal, because it would actually be like gross sex scenes, actual violence, like stuff that would actually fuck with you, because Austin Powers has that potential. But no, now that we actually have met the world or feel good in the world, I wouldn't mind another Jay Roach film.
Bring back Jay.
Get Jay on the
The
horn.
Roachman.
I think getting a whole new cast of people that could embody the spirit of these characters now that we know them, but it would just be hard because Mike Myers is such a part of it. But I think you can recast. I don't think that whole gimmick of having like four characters played by the same actor, we don't need that. I would love to see a different actor play these characters that are now so connected. Like,
Yeah.
oh, that's why they look the same, because they're brothers. It's like, oh wait, that actually makes Mike Myers playing both characters a little less important. Like, let's just fuck it up. Let's get new characters. Let's get new actors.
I keep seeing an Ed Norton type in these movies.
Yes.
That's what I want.
Yeah. And
He's a guy that when you give him funny shit, he is funny.
Oh yeah, he would be great. We could get a Ham.
Get a Ham in there.
Ham would be great.
I think a Ham is like a shitty Felix Unger type, like, the Bond CIA equivalent. I would love a John Hamm playing like a bumbling American
And you know
spy.
what? Idris Elba was not allowed to be Bond.
Yeah.
Get him
For
in his Austin.
Very legitimate reasons.
Get him in his Austin.
Get him in his Austin. Yeah.
He was ready to be
Is
Austin.
America ready for a black Austin Powers? I say yes.
I say yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, this is all pipe dreams at this point.
Donald
'cause
Glover, I bet, would have an amazing take on this kind of thing.
That would be so fun.
I would love that.
So many great people could be playing Austin.
Sure.
So many people could be playing Powers girls / boys. Just get Michael Caine back. That's all.
You must have Michael Caine back.
Must
Nigel Powers is a killer addition to the series.
Yeah,
I love him.
Must have Michael Caine.
Yeah.
No one, or I guess you could have someone else do a Michael Caine impression the whole time. That
Sure,
could be
Coogan.
That could be very funny.
Yeah.
Get Coogan to just pretend to
Full
be
Caine,
Michael
yeah.
Caine the entire time.
Yeah.
That could work.
Well, with that being said, I guess we're going to sing Bon Voyage to the Austin Powers verse, the Austin Powverse. Is it
No. Fuck it. I'm
throwing you a
just saying,
bone.
I know, and I agree. That sucked.
Austin
Throw me a
Powers
freaking
verse.
bone
Throw me
here.
a freaking bone here.
Austin Powverse.
That's pretty good.
Austin.
Oh, behave.
Oh,
behave, baby. Okay, so all of you out there, please keep behaving. This has been When Will It End? A movie series podcast.
Can we say, so I'm going to say when will it end, like, you want to do Austin Powers, you want to be Dr. Evil?
I'll do Dr. Evil.
Okay. When will it end, baby?
That's terrible.
Yeah,
Fuck
we'll
me.
do it
Fuck me.
separately.
Okay, you go ahead.
Okay, like Mel asks you.
Okay.
Are you ready for the end, baby?
When will it end, baby?
Too
We didn't talk about the rap scene. You hated it.
Well, that's the end. Another podcast from Josh and Charles Productions, as always produced by Josh Landys and edited by Charles Hobby. The song at the front and end are from Waste Management, so if you like them, check them out. And if you liked us, please rate and review us on iTunes. You can also find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all those, all as WWIE Podcast. If you want to send us an email for any reason, really any reason, shoot it over at wwiepodcast@gmail.com. Thanks so much for listening, and we hope we made you horny.